Ambassador Li Minji felt her heart pounding as she stood in the massive crystal hall of the Galactic Council. The walls stretched up so high she couldn't see the ceiling, and alien voices whispered in languages she'd spent years learning. Today, all that work meant nothing. The ancient Velthari Prime Speaker raised his forearms, and the hall fell silent. His voice boomed like thunder. Humanity is hereby banished from Council space for violations of the sacred protocols. Minji didn't flinch, but inside she felt sick. 3 months ago, she'd been celebrating. Human forces had saved 3 entire worlds from the Void Swarm, those horrible creatures that ate everything in their path. Billions of lives saved. But the Council didn't care about lives, they cared about rules. Captain Park Jinwoo watched everything from the observation deck above. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped the railing tight. He'd fought in those battles. He'd seen human soldiers throw themselves into impossible situations to save alien families who would never know their names. The Prime Speaker continued reading the charges. Humans used forbidden quantum weapons. Humans ignored retreat orders. Humans employed biological warfare techniques banned for 2,000 years. Every word was true, and every word had saved lives the Council's way couldn't save. Minji remembered the day it all started. The swarm had surrounded the mining world of Kepler 186F. Council forces followed standard protocol, evacuate the cities, establish defensive lines, wait for reinforcements. But reinforcements would take weeks, and the swarm would overrun the planet in days. So the humans did what humans do. They improvised. Commander Kim Dae-ho had taken his small fleet straight into the swarm's heart. His ships were outnumbered 50-1, but they moved like nothing the aliens had ever seen. Twisting, diving, attacking from impossible angles. The quantum torpedoes his ships fired weren't supposed to exist. The Council had banned that technology centuries ago as too dangerous, but they worked. While Dae-ho's fleet kept the swarm busy, Dr. Yoon Soo-hyun released her biological weapon on the planet's surface. It wasn't poison or disease. It was something far more clever. Her engineered bacteria that made the planet's atmosphere taste horrible to the swarm creatures. They fled within hours. The Third World fell to pure human stubbornness. When Council, Admiral Zeftai ordered all forces to retreat from the agricultural planet of New Harmony, Captain Oh Min-hee simply turned off her radio. Her battalion of human marines dug in and fought for 6 days straight. They held the line until civilian transports could evacuate 2 million alien farmers and their families. All 3 victories broke Council rules. All 3 saved lives the Council's way would have lost. Now Minji stood in judgment, watching alien faces that showed no gratitude, only disapproval. The human species will be stripped of all citizenship rights, the Prime Speaker announced. All human vessels must leave Council space within 30 days. Any human found in Council territory after that time will be arrested. The hall erupted in alien voices, some approving, others uncertain. Minji noticed several younger delegates, looking uncomfortable. Good. Let them think about what this really meant. Captain Park Jinwoo activated his comm unit. All ships, prepare for departure. We're going home. But as their diplomatic vessel pulled away from the gleaming capital world, Minji felt something she hadn't expected. Relief. She turned to her aide, Lieutenant Nam Ji-yeon, who looked devastated. "Ma'am, what do we do now? They've cut us off from the galaxy." Minji smiled for the first time in months. "They think they're punishing us. They have no idea what they've just unleashed." The ship's engines hummed as they crossed the invisible line into the outer rim, the wild, dangerous part of space the Council avoided. Behind them, the Council delegates were already returning to their ancient routines, confident that order had been restored. They were wrong. For thousands of years, the Council had kept the galaxy stable by making sure nothing ever changed. New technologies were banned. Creative thinking was discouraged. Everyone followed the same old rules their ancestors had written, but humans were different. Humans didn't like rules that didn't make sense, and they were about to show the galaxy what happened when you gave creative, stubborn, innovative people unlimited space to work with. The real story was just beginning. The message spread across human space like wildfire. Every colony, every space station, every mining outpost received the same transmission from Earth. "Pack up. We're leaving." Captain Kim Dae-hyun stood in the command center of humanity's largest transport hub, watching the biggest migration in galactic history unfold on his screens. Thousands of ships filled the space around him. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, military escorts, even converted mining vessels stuffed with families and their belongings. The aliens had expected chaos. They thought humans would panic, scatter, in all directions, maybe even beg to stay. Instead, they got something that made them nervous. Perfect organization. "Colony ship Busan reports ready for jump," his communications officer announced. "Colony ship Seoul launching in 10 minutes. Incheon requests permission to depart." Dae-hyun nodded, checking his tablet. Every ship had a destination. Every family knew where they were going. Every essential worker had been assigned to critical colonies. This wasn't a retreat. It was a planned expansion into territory no one else wanted. Dr. Choi Soo-hyun was already proving why the Council had made a mistake. Her research ship had landed on Kepler 442c 3 weeks ago, a dead rock that aliens avoided because of deadly radiation. But when her team ran their tests, something incredible happened. "Command, you need to see this," she transmitted back to the fleet. Her voice was excited, not scared. "The radiation here should have killed us within hours, but our cellular repair systems are actually getting stronger. It's like our bodies are learning to use the radiation as fuel." The implications hit everyone immediately. There were thousands of worlds like this scattered across the galaxy, planets rich in resources, but bathed in radiation that killed every other known species. The Council had written them off as worthless wasteland. To humans, they were paradise. Engineer. Yoon Taemin was making his own discoveries in the shipping lanes. His cargo fleet had been hauling supplies between human colonies for 20 years, always following Council-approved routes. Safe routes, boring routes. Now he was free to explore. "Look at this," he told his crew as they dropped out of hyperspace. Near an asteroid field the Council had marked as navigation hazard, avoid. The field was huge, stretching for millions of kilometers, filled with rocks that sparkled with mineral deposits. His mining engineer whistled. "That's not iron ore, Captain. That's pure titanium-platinum alloy. There's enough here to build 1,000 battleships." "Why didn't the Council mine this?" his pilot asked. Taemin grinned. "Because their ships are too big and clumsy to navigate the field safely, but ours aren't." Within days, his small, agile ships were darting between asteroids, harvesting materials worth more than entire planets. He established the first human mining operation in the Outer Rim, and word spread fast. Captain Dae-hyun received reports like this daily. Each human expedition was finding something the Council had missed or ignored. Worlds too hot, too cold, too dangerous, too far from established shipping lanes, all perfect for humans who had spent centuries adapting to impossible conditions. "Let them keep their safe worlds," he transmitted to the growing network of human settlements during his weekly address. "We'll take the galaxy they were too afraid to explore." The response was immediate and enthusiastic. Colony after colony reported the same thing, not just survival, but success beyond their wildest dreams. Then something unexpected started happening. Lieutenant Park So-min was manning the communications station at New Busan Colony when the first alien ship appeared on their sensors. She tensed, expecting Council enforcers or maybe raiders looking for easy targets. Instead, she got a refugee transport. "Human colony. This is Captain Veltar of the Kethani merchant vessel Starwind," came the transmission. "We request asylum. The Council has disagreed with our business practices." So-min looked at her commander, Colonel Lee Ji-hoon, who shrugged. "What kind of business practices?" "We sold medical supplies to species the Council considers unworthy of advanced treatment. Our punishment was to be expelled from all Council worlds." Within hours, the alien ship was docked at their station. The Kethani turned out to be traders who had been helping poor planets get medicine and technology the Council hoarded for its favored species. Their crime was showing compassion. They weren't the last. Soon, alien ships were arriving at human colonies every week. Scientists whose research had been banned as too dangerous. artists whose work was considered culturally disruptive, even some military officers who had refused to abandon civilians during swarm attacks. Dr. Choi Soo-hyun found herself working alongside a brilliant Velthari biochemist who had been exiled for developing cures the council hadn't approved. Engineer. Taemin's mining crews included Zithani engineers whose efficiency improvements had been rejected as unnecessarily innovative. The Outer Rim was becoming something no one had expected, not a human exile zone, but a haven for everyone the council's rigid system had left behind, and they were just getting started. For the first time in human history, there were no rules telling them what they couldn't build. And the results were incredible. Engineer Nam Hyeju had been working on her quantum drive theory for 15 years, always hitting the same wall: council regulations that banned unstable spatial manipulation technology. Now, in her workshop, on the mining station Sejong, she was finally free to test her wildest ideas. "Run the simulation again," she told her team, watching the holographic display show a ship folding space around itself. Traditional council jump gates worked by creating tunnels between fixed points. Her design was completely different. It made the ship exist in multiple locations at once, then collapsed the possibilities into the destination. Her assistant, Engineer Park Won-ho, looked nervous. "Nam, the energy readings are off the charts. If this goes wrong, we could tear a hole in space-time." Or, Nam grinned, "we could change everything." The first test flight lasted 3 seconds. Nam's prototype ship vanished from Sejong Station and reappeared next to a planet 12 light-years away. The journey that should have taken 3 weeks through council jump gates had happened almost instantly. Within months, human ships were appearing everywhere across the galaxy. Council patrol fleets would detect human vessels in one sector, rush to investigate and find them gone, already appearing in systems hundreds of light-years away. But Nam's breakthrough was just the beginning. Biologist Kang Min-ho was solving an even bigger problem on the dead world of New Seoul. Traditional terraforming took centuries: pump in atmosphere, seed with basic plants, wait for evolution to do its work. The council had been terraforming the same 12 worlds for over 1,000 years, and most still weren't fully habitable. Min-ho had a different approach. "Watch this," he told the team of alien scientists who had come to see his work. He knelt beside a patch of toxic soil that had never supported life, then released a handful of what looked like ordinary seeds. Within hours, the seeds had sprouted into plants, unlike anything in nature. Their roots didn't just grow down, they formed networks, sharing nutrients and information. The plants weren't just surviving in the toxic soil, they were cleaning it, transforming poisons into useful compounds. "Most terraforming tries to force planets to become like existing worlds," Min-ho explained, as the alien visitors watched in amazement. "We're not conquering these planets, we're partnering with them. The plants adapt to the world, and the world adapts to the plants." Dr. Zeftai, a council biologist, shook her crystalline head. "This is impossible. Evolution doesn't work this fast." "It does when you give it the right tools," Min-ho smiled, showing her the genetic modifications he'd built into his seeds. "These plants can rewrite their own DNA in real time, responding to whatever the planet throws at them. Within a year, worlds that had been lifeless rocks were blooming with forests designed specifically for their unique conditions. Each planet developed its own ecosystem, perfectly adapted to local gravity, radiation, and atmospheric composition. But the breakthrough that truly changed everything came from Dr. Seo Ji-yoon. The council controlled all long-distance communication through their psi networks, psychic aliens who could send messages instantly across space. Every transmission had to go through council oversight. Every conversation was monitored, filtered, and often delayed. Ji-yoon's team had been working on quantum entanglement communication for years, always running into the same problem. The signals degraded over long distances. Then her colleague, Dr. Kim Seo-hyun, made a crazy suggestion. "What if we're thinking about this wrong?" Seo-hyun said during one of their late-night sessions. "Instead of sending signals through space, what if we send them through the quantum foam itself?" The quantum foam was the theoretical fabric underlying all reality, the bubbling, chaotic foundation that made the universe possible. Most scientists considered it impossible to access directly. Gion decided to try anyway. Their first successful test connected New Sol Colony with a research station 50,000 light-years away. The message arrived not in minutes or hours, but simultaneously with transmission. They had achieved truly instantaneous communication across any distance. "Command, this is New Sol," Gion transmitted during the first network-wide test. Message received and confirmed from all 17 colonies. Communication lag time, 0. Suddenly, human settlements scattered across the galaxy could coordinate in real time. Military operations that had taken weeks to plan could be executed instantly. Trade negotiations happened at the speed of thought. Scientific discoveries were shared immediately across all colonies. The Council's monopoly on galactic communication was broken. Word of these innovations spread through alien communities like wildfire. Species that had spent centuries following Council restrictions began asking uncomfortable questions. If humans could develop this technology in just a few years, what had the Council been hiding from everyone else? The first alien defectors were scientists and engineers, frustrated by centuries of innovation bans. Then came merchants, tired of Council trade restrictions. Finally, entire species began declaring independence from Council space. The Kethani were first, announcing they would relocate their entire civilization to human-protected space. The Velthari industrial worlds followed within months. Even some Council military units switched sides, bringing their ships and expertise to the Outer Rim. The transformation was stunning. What had started as humanity's exile was becoming the most advanced, prosperous region of the galaxy. The Outer Rim wasn't humanity's prison anymore. It was becoming their empire, built not on conquest but on the simple revolutionary idea that progress should never stop, and the Council was finally starting to notice. The emergency beacon lit up Admiral Lim Seojan's command center at 3 in the morning, ship time. He'd been expecting this call for months, but it still made his blood run cold. "Admiral, we're receiving massive distress signals from Council space," his communications officer reported, her voice tight with worry. "It's the Void Swarm, sir. They're back." Seojan pulled up the tactical display, and his worst fears were confirmed. Red warning markers spread across the galaxy map like a plague. Sector 7 overrun. Sector 12 evacuating. Sector 15 communications lost. The creatures that ate entire worlds had returned, and they were hungry. "How many Council fleets have engaged?" he asked. 17 so far, sir. None have reported success." Commander Ojiwon's voice crackled over the long-range communicator from the border regions. She'd been monitoring Council military channels since the attacks began, and what she reported made everyone in the room go quiet. "Admiral, you need to hear this. The Council forces are using the exact same tactics they used 5 years ago. Same formation patterns, same weapon frequencies, same retreat protocols. But the swarm isn't the same." She transmitted tactical footage that made Seojan's stomach turn. Council battleships fired their massive plasma cannons at swarm creatures, weapons that had worked before. But these creatures simply absorbed the energy and grew larger. When Council ships tried their standard defensive formations, the swarm flowed around them like water, attacking from angles the formations couldn't protect. "Their ancient weapons can't adapt," O reported grimly. "The swarm evolves faster than their rigid doctrines can respond." It was exactly what human strategists had predicted. The Council's greatest weakness wasn't their technology. It was their inability to change. For 2,000 years they'd fought the same way, used the same strategies, followed the same protocols. It had worked because their enemies never changed either. But the Void Swarm was different. These creatures learned from every battle, adapted to every weapon, evolved to counter every tactic. Fighting them with the same old methods was like trying to stop a forest fire with a garden hose. The reports kept getting worse. The industrial world of Keftar gone in 6 hours. The resort planet of Velios Prime evacuated just before the swarm consumed its 3 moons. Entire sectors were going dark as the creatures spread through Council space like a cancer. Then something unexpected happened. "Admiral," his sensor operator called out, "we have an unidentified ship approaching. It's flying a Council." Diplomatic flag. Seojan frowned. Council ships aren't supposed to be in our space. Are they lost? No, sir. They're requesting permission to meet with our senior command. It's marked as urgent diplomatic priority. The council envoy who stepped off the shuttle looked nothing like the proud aliens who had banished humanity years ago. Ambassador Kethmiran's usually perfect ceremonial robes were wrinkled. His 4 eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep, and his hands shook as he spoke. Admiral Seojan, he began, then stopped, clearly struggling with words he'd never thought he'd have to say. The council requests assistance from human forces. The words hung in the air like a confession of failure. Your space is under attack, Seojan replied carefully. Our condolences for your losses. You don't understand, Kethmiran said desperately. We've lost 14 sectors in 3 weeks. Our fleets can't stop them. Our weapons don't work. The creatures adapt to everything we try. He paused, then added quietly, we need the tactics that saved those 3 worlds before. The same tactics that had gotten humanity banished from Council space. Seojan activated his communicator. Admiral Lee Minhee, please report to Conference Room A. When Minhee arrived, the Council envoy's 4 eyes went wide. Her fleet was legendary. Even in Council space, ships that moved like living things, weapons that seemed to think for themselves, tactics that made no sense until they worked perfectly. Ambassador, Minhee said politely, I understand you need our help. Yes, Kethmiran replied, hope flickering in his voice. We can offer substantial payment, territory rights, even full restoration of council membership. Stop, Minhee interrupted. You want our help? Then you'll accept our terms. The room went silent. The council had never accepted terms from anyone. They gave terms, they didn't receive them. What are your terms? Kethmiran asked. Minhee smiled. Simple. We'll save your people, but we do it our way. No council oversight, no protocol restrictions, no interference from your military command. Our ships, our tactics, our decisions. But the sacred protocols. The sacred protocols are getting your people killed, Minhee said flatly. We ignored them before and saved 3 worlds. Now we'll ignore them and save your entire civilization. Kethmiran's shoulders slumped in defeat. And if we refuse, then you die according to your precious protocols, and we'll deal with whatever's left of the swarm when they're done with you. The choice was simple, really. Pride or survival. I accept your terms, the ambassador whispered. Good, Minhee nodded. Now get out of our way and let us work. As the council envoy left to report back to his superiors, Seojan watched the tactical display update with new swarm positions. 17 more sectors had gone dark while they were talking. The galaxy was counting on humanity to save it. The same humanity they'd thrown away like garbage. Time to show them what a mistake that had been. The war was over, but the real battle was just beginning. President Han Jisoo walked through the corridors of the Galactic Council chambers, her footsteps echoing in halls that had once been forbidden to her. 6 months ago, she'd been the leader of humanity's exile government, running operations from a converted mining station in the Outer Rim. Today, she was here to reshape the galaxy. The council members who greeted her looked nothing like the proud rulers who had banished humanity 5 years earlier. Their faces showed exhaustion, defeat, and something they'd never experienced before. Genuine fear. President Han, the Velthari Prime Speaker said, his voice hollow. We are grateful for humanity's assistance in stopping the swarm. Jisoo nodded politely, but her expression remained serious. The swarm isn't gone, it's dormant, and it will return if we don't address the real problem. She activated the holographic display in the center of the chamber, showing research data that made several council members gasp. Dr. Park Minju's team had spent months analyzing swarm behavior, tracking their movement patterns, studying their biology. What they'd discovered changed everything. Your sacred protocols created the swarm, Jisoo declared, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast hall. Millennia of enforced stagnation turned the galaxy's natural immune system against you. The evidence was devastating. The swarm creatures weren't invaders from another galaxy or dimension. They were part of this galaxy's natural ecosystem, designed to appear whenever evolution stopped, whenever progress stagnated for too long. "That's impossible," protested Council Elder Zephmai. "The swarm of parasites, destroyers. They're cleaners," Jisoo interrupted, pulling up biological scans. "Look at the worlds they consumed. Every single one had been artificially maintained in the same state for over 1,000 years. Same population levels, same technology, same culture. Nothing changing, nothing growing." Dr. Kim Ji-won's research appeared on screen, detailed analysis of swarm breeding patterns. The creatures only reproduce rapidly when they encounter civilizations that have stopped evolving. It's like the galaxy itself decided your societies were dead weight. The implications hit the Council like a physical blow. Their greatest achievement, creating a stable, unchanging galactic order, had triggered the very disaster they'd fought to prevent. "But we maintained peace," the Prime Speaker argued weakly. "Order, stability. You maintained death," Jisoo replied. "A living galaxy that had been turned into a museum." She gestured to Director Bae Sunwoo, who stepped forward with documents that would reshape galactic civilization. "The old system is finished," Bae announced. "We're proposing a new alliance structure based on innovation, adaptation, and growth. Species that want to join us will be welcome. Those that don't," he shrugged, "will watch their civilizations fade into irrelevance." The terms were simple but revolutionary. No more technology bans, no more innovation restrictions, no more forcing species to follow ancient protocols that made no sense. Instead, member civilizations would be required to show measurable progress every decade. New discoveries, cultural developments, technological advances. "You're asking us to abandon thousands of years of tradition," Elder Zephmai protested. "I'm asking you to choose between tradition and survival," Jisoo replied. "The swarm will return the moment this galaxy stops moving forward. You can either evolve with us or become food for creatures that exist to clean up evolutionary dead ends." The debate that followed lasted for hours. Ancient species that had ruled the galaxy since before humans discovered fire struggled with the idea that their way of life was not just wrong, but actively dangerous. But the evidence was undeniable. Every world the swarm had targeted showed the same pattern. Centuries of stagnation, populations that had stopped growing, technologies that hadn't advanced in generations. Meanwhile, human space and the species that had joined them showed completely different patterns. Constant change, rapid development, populations that adapted quickly to new challenges. The swarm had avoided these regions entirely, as if they recognized healthy, evolving civilizations. One by one, the council members began to understand. The Cathani delegation was first to formally accept the new alliance terms. The Velthari followed within hours. Even some of the oldest, most traditional species began admitting that change might be necessary. "What guarantee do we have that humans won't abuse this power?" asked Elder Zephmai, making one last attempt to maintain the old order. Jisoo smiled. "The same guarantee you had before, none. But here's the difference. We're not asking to rule over you, we're asking you to join us in ruling together. Every species gets a voice, as long as they're willing to use it to move forward instead of backward." The treaty signing took 3 days. Representatives from over 200 species came forward to join the new Galactic Alliance. Some signed eagerly, excited by the possibilities. Others signed reluctantly, knowing they had no choice. As the final signatures were recorded, Jisoo looked around the chamber that had once judged humanity unworthy of galactic citizenship. The same aliens who had banished them were now begging to join their alliance. "You know what the funny thing is?" she said to Director Bae as they watched the ceremony conclude. "What's that? They thought they were punishing us when they kicked us out. Instead, they gave us exactly what we needed, the freedom to become what we were always meant to be. Humanity hadn't just survived their banishment. They had used it to rewrite the fundamental laws of galactic civilization. The galaxy's future now belonged not to those who clung to the past, but to those brave enough to embrace change. And at the center of it all were the stubborn, creative, impossible humans who had turned their greatest punishment into their greatest victory.